Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mr. Kirk. Today I'll be giving a presentation, a lesson, on the introduction to computers and keyboard. So before we get started, I want to go over a brief story about myself. Computers have been around quite some time. I first had my first computer when I was 10 years old. I had the Commodore 128. The Commodore 128 consisted of a keyboard and CPU built together, a monitor, a floppy disk drive, and a printer. With this type of computer, mainly what we used it for is computer programming and games. We pretty much just played games on it. Played games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Dig Dug, Centipede, Defender. Those are primarily some of the top games back in those days. At the age of 12, 1988, school started integrating computers into the classroom. And just like you, we started learning about keyboarding and basic computer functions. The Apple IIe consisted of same thing, a keyboard with a computer interface, CPU, as well as a monitor, a disk drive, and a printer. Back then we didn't have mice. Mice weren't invented at that time. We didn't have internet. Internet wasn't available to us at that time. And so we had to learn computers the old-fashioned way. Before computers, everything was typewriter. So the advantages of a computer over typewriter were things like being able to move text, delete, copy, paste. With the typewriter, you didn't have those options. You made one mistake, you threw away the copy, and you started over. So computers are a huge advance to what you'd see with the typewriter. So we'll go over the objectives that we have for this lesson. Number one, students will be able to identify and name the major items of the computer. Number two, students will be able to identify the home row by touch, be able to feel where the keys are. Number three, students will be able to use the shift key with the alternate hand. And number four, students will be able to demonstrate the proper posture, hand placement, and finger placement. So let's start with the top one, which is identify the name of the major items of the computer. So I drew a picture on the board. Let me come over here. We'll start with the first one, which is the monitor. The monitor or display allows you to see the characters that you're typing, allows you to watch videos. Next is the CPU, or central processing unit. This is the brains of the computer. This allows to run applications, run programs. The next one is the keyboard. The keyboard is the interface. This allows you to type characters, text, programming. That's the main interface of the computer. The next one is the mouse. The mouse is basically a device that allows you to move a cursor onto the screen, allows you to click onto items, move the items in certain areas of the screen, or open files. That's the mouse. It has a left toggle and a right toggle button. And then some mice also have a spin wheel or rotary wheel, which allows you to move the page up and down. And the last item is a printer, which allows you to print items that you want to print, such as pictures, diagrams, charts, and even documents. So that's what the printer is for. So again, you have the monitor, display, CPU, which is the brains, keyboard, which is the main interface, the mouse, and the printer. So let's go to the next item on the list. We're going to go with the bottom one, which is demonstrate proper posture, hand placement, and finger placement. So I brought my own little keyboard with me. This is my Logitech keyboard. This actually is used for my smart TV. It doesn't have all the features as a regular keyboard, but it practically does the same thing. It allows you to type characters. So for my computer is a smart, my TV is a smart TV. So I use this primarily to log into web pages, type in passwords. So this makes it a little bit easier than having to use a touchpad that's on my remote control and having to use the arrow up and down to be able to navigate using that remote control. So with the proper posture and hand positioning, I'll grab my keyboard again. We'll start with the fingers. The fingers itself are going to be curled and upright. So what you're going to do is you're going to be striking the keys with the tips of your fingers, not the pads, but the tips. So that's why your fingers need to be curled, because you cannot type efficiently with the pads of your fingers. You use the tips. That's why they're curled and upright. Secondly, your wrist is low but not touching. It's actually hovering over the desk, like so. And then your forearms, which is this right here, your forearms are parallel to the slant of the keyboard. So if your keyboard is like this, your forearms are on the same plane, and they're parallel. Parallel. Your feet are flat and on the floor, so they're not kicked out, they're not tucked under your seat, they're flat on the floor. So you would be at a 90-degree angle, kind of like that. And then your back is straight, so you're not slouched in the chair, way back here like this. You're not leaning forward, crunched over. You're straight into the chair. Back against the seat, straight. And then last, your eyes are on the copy, so your eyes are actually looking at the screen. Now, when I first started learning about keyboarding, it took some time to remember where all the keys are. So what I did for you guys to make it easier is I printed out a copy of a keyboard, and I placed these laminated onto your computer monitors. So you never have to look down at the keys to find it. You don't know where the key is, you can look on the piece of paper and say, oh, the A key, well, it's over here. So I can find it much easier. And that way you can avoid looking at your keys. Because with this class, you're going to have shields over your keyboard, which is going to prevent you from being able to look at your keys. So you're going to want to learn how to type by touch, by feel. And through muscle memory, by doing it repetitively, you'll learn how to actually type the keys correctly. And that all is going to be based on your posturing, your hand and finger placement, as well as finding the keys itself. So the next item on the list is identify the home row. Well, let's go over what is the home row. Home row is where your keys are originally placed every time when you put your keys on the keyboard. It's the starting position. So the starting position for the left hand is A, S, D, F. A with your pinky on the left hand, S with your ring finger, D with your middle finger, and F with your pointer finger. So again, slightly curled and bent. A, S, D, F, all with your left hand. And then on the right side, you walk on this side, it's J, K, L, semicolon. So J with your first finger, K with your middle finger, L with your ring finger, and semicolon with your pinky finger. Your thumb doesn't use any key but the space bar, which is the bottom, the space bar. So go ahead, put your hands on the keyboard. And what I want you to do is I want you to feel around onto the letters F and J. You'll notice there's a little bump. Do you feel it? That is where your pointer fingers go on the keyboard. So without looking, you can actually feel on the keyboard and find the F and the J key. And from there, all you need to do is move your fingers left and right from those positions of the pointer finger, and you can find your home row. A, S, D, F, J, K, L, semicolon. All off that little bump on the key. So if you go ahead now, what I would like you to do is to close your eyes and put your hands on the keyboard and feel around and find that bump on those two keys. You find the bump on the F key with the left hand, and find the bump on the right pointer finger with the J key. You feel it? You go ahead and take your hands off and go ahead and put them back on. You feel the bumps? So you don't even have to look at it. You'll be able to automatically just put your hands on the keyboard and find it every time. It should be almost like automatic. Once you get good at it, you just automatically find those keys every time. Then you know where your home row is. So again, your home row is A, S, D, F, J, K, L, and semicolon. That's your home row. And from those keys, you're going to be able to go up with your fingers or down. So if you want to type the letter Q, the Q is in the just above the A key, and you just use your pinky, and you just go up. And then with the right hand, same thing. If you wanted to type the P key, you just move your finger up with the pinky to the P key. So your fingers are always just moving up and back, up and back. Your wrists aren't moving, you're not sliding your hands, you're just moving your fingers. Let your fingers do the work. Back in the day, it said let your fingers do the talking, but this is the same thing. You're just moving your fingers. You're not doing anything crazy, you're just moving your fingers. And every time you just type from that same position. You never have to move. And again, it takes muscle memory, so the more times you do it, the easier it will become. So next item on there is the shift key. There's two shift keys on the keyboard. There's a shift key on the left, which is here. There's a shift key on the right, which is here. Now, when you use the shift key, so like here's the shift key on the left. If I'm going to use the shift key on the left, I'm going to be using the right side of my keyboard. And then if I want to use the shift key on this side, I'm going to use it for these keys on this side of the keyboard. Like so. Use alternate hands. What you don't want to do is use the shift key here and type the number 1 with the same hand. You want to use the alternate side of the computer. And that just takes practice as well. So what I'd like you to do, go ahead and put your hands back on the home row, and then find the shift on the right side, and type the letter A with your pinky on your left hand. So pinky on the shift key, pinky on the A. Pinky on the shift key, pinky on the A. And you just do that every time. And then the same thing on the other side. Use the shift key with your pinky on the left side and type the letter J. Shift key and J. Shift, J. So I want you to go ahead and practice the home row. Go ahead and put your hands on the computer. Same thing with remembering your finger placement. Fingers curled and upright. Wrists are low but not touching. Forearms parallel to the slant of the keyboard. Feet are flat on the floor. Back is straight. And eyes on the copy. So your computers are on. You already have Microsoft Word loaded. So what I would like you to do is go ahead and type with your hands on the keyboard. Without looking at your keys, find the home row. And just type with your left hand. A, S, D, F, thumb, use the space bar. So again, A, S, D, F, space bar. Go ahead and try. A, S, D, F, space bar. One more time. A, S, D, F, space bar. Okay, let's do the same thing with the right side. J, K, L, semicolon. J, K, L, semicolon. J, K, L, semicolon. So you don't even have to look at your keys, because again you have that little tag on your screen, and you also can feel where the bump is for the J key. Okay. So what I would like you to do now is go ahead and put your hands back on the computer, on the keyboard, using the proper finger placement. Find the home row. And this time what I'd like you to do is use the shift key of the right hand and then type A, S, D, F with your left hand. Shift key, A, S, D, F with your left hand. Now let's do the other side. Shift key on the left hand, and then we're going to type J, K, L, semicolon. Shift key, J, K, L, semicolon. Go ahead and try. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to do some practice. So what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and type in 5 times in all small case, A, S, D, F, J, K, L, semicolon. Hit the space bar once, and then type it again. Okay, and now I want you to go ahead and type it one more time. Okay, and now I want you to go ahead and use the shift key in conjunction. So the keys on the right side, you're going to use the shift, or the keys on the left side, you're going to use the shift on the right. So again, it's shift, A, S, D, F, switch hands, shift key on the left, J, K, L, semicolon. Shift on the right, A, S, D, F, shift key on the left, J, K, L, semicolon. Got it? Good. So again, I just want to go over what we learned today. Number 1, students will be able to identify the names of the major components of the computer. So again, we learned about the monitor, the CPU, the keyboard, the mouse, and the printer. Number 2, identify the home row by touch. So we found the bump on the computer, so we can find the home row every time. F key with the first finger on the left hand, J key on the first finger of the right hand. Number 3 was be able to use the shift key with the alternate hand. So we talked about this. Now you can use the shift key with the right side and type with the left hand. Use the shift key on the left hand and type with the right hand. And then the last one was demonstrate proper posture, hand placement, and finger placement. So again, fingers curled and upright using the tips of your fingers. Wrists are low and bent, but not touching the desk or the keyboard. The forearms are parallel to the slant of the keyboard. And the feet are flat on the floor. Your back is straight. And your eyes are on the prize. I thank you for your time today. Thank you for your attention.